Hello, friends. We're back with the final section of the Chapter 7, Time. And once again, you can find the reference to this in the Vision, the video, at timestamp 6 minutes and 39 seconds. So let's wrap up this chapter. This dimension of existence that we currently occupy, Earth, is a dense vibrational dimension. That means that the vibration of Earth and its inhabitants vibrate at a slower rate of frequency than do other dimensions. And because the rate of vibration is slower in this dimension, we are able to experience matter in a very dense way. For instance, the book or iPad or computer that you are reading this from is vibrating at a very slow rate, and therefore it appears to be solid matter, when in fact it's fluid and flowing matter. But the human eye, which also perceives at a slower, denser rate of vibration, receives the sensory data that the object you are using to read this with is a dense, solid object. So let's update this because this was supposed to be published in a book. So the device that you're using to listen to this on is actually fluid and flowing matter, but because it's a dense vibration, a very slower rate of vibration, it appears to be solid. Okay, back to the book. This is the way that humans have always perceived their environment. However, because of the vibrational shift that is occurring at this moment in humanity, the vibration of Earth and its inhabitants are also shifting with it, and their vibration is rising greatly. So at this point, you may be asking yourself, what does this have to do with time, and how is time evolving? I'm going to share that with you. When you slow the rate of vibration down to a denser vibrational frequency, things appear to be moving in a linear fashion, from left to right, from point A to point B, from here to there. Whereas when you raise the rate of vibration to a lighter, and that is LIGHT-ER, vibrational frequency, everything is as it originally is, simply here and now. There isn't any over there, or at some point in the future, or some point in the past. There is only now, where all things exist. There isn't any way to measure the here and now, as it is always in motion and always returning to its original form of here and now, and always in motion. The present moment evolves as it evolves back into itself. It's like a sphere that continuously is rotating outwardly in motion and continuously rotating inwardly toward itself in motion all simultaneously. It is comparable to the infinity symbol, as there is no beginning and no end. There just is continuous motion. So when you think of time in those terms, where would one moment begin and one moment end? It wouldn't, and it doesn't. Time as we have known it to be is just through the illusion of a slower vibrational rate of motion that allows one to perceive beginnings and endings, and this perception is what is evolving. As humans begin to raise in vibration, as the planet Earth begins to raise in vibration, as the atmosphere begins to raise in vibration, so does our perception begin to raise in vibration, and as do all of our sensory abilities. We will begin to perceive vibration in terms of its frequency, but not just as we have begun to tap into its definition and its many forms and pitches, but also into its depth and width of perception, which is vastly beyond anything that we have known before. So another question you're probably asking yourself now is, what does all of this mean? I'm going to share that with you as well, and here's where it gets interesting. What happens when restrictions are lifted and a thing, anything, is allowed to be what it actually is? When it is perceived in its truest form, is that it becomes a gateway of freedom and liberation to itself and to all that interact with it. The now moment is the 0 point of all things. It is the gravitational pull at its finest. When we begin to perceive the motion of the now moment and no longer are constricted by the linear time perception, we become free from the limitations of human consciousness and human perception itself. Remember when I said when we dare to think of what's possible, the possible shows up? This is where the possibles show up. Let's take, for instance, time travel. Now, I know some of you may be thinking that's only a consort of science fiction or fantasy. But in actuality, we time travel quite often through our consciousness. As depicted earlier, whenever we consciously think of an event that our human consciousness is telling us occurred in the past, or we consciously think of something that our human consciousness is telling us that we would like to experience in the future, then through our consciousness we are traveling through the perceived existence of time, as we have already learned that we are fundamentally and ultimately consciousness. So what happens at the point when we become consciously aware that the experiences we are perceiving to be experienced in the past are in actuality happening simultaneously with what we are experiencing right now? And what we are perceiving to be something that we are projecting into the future is actually happening simultaneously with what we are experiencing right now. It's a convergence that occurs with the human level of consciousness and the spiritual level of consciousness and the collective level of consciousness. They all become one. One mind of consciousness, one body of consciousness, one spirit of consciousness as a unique expression of source energy, fully capable of all the possibles, and none of the limited and restricted burdens of one-dimensional human consciousness and perception. Are you beginning to get the picture of what that is like, or all that it entails? If your human mind is spinning right now and thoughts are flying all over the place, take heart. That's exactly what I felt like when I initially came out of the vision that I was given. But buckle up, it gets even better. Now let's say that humans are now able to perceive with full consciousness as it was shown to me in the vision, and they have no limitations or restrictions that are holding them back from full use of their innate potential, and they understand that time is obsolete and that all is occurring in the now moment. What exactly does your own consciousness perceive to be possible now? Take a moment and really think about that. If you're anything like I am, a whole new world just opened up to you, and it's going to keep you thinking for quite a while. This is where humanity as a whole is heading. We have already begun the process of the unraveling of everything that was into everything that is. I don't really know how long it will take for humanity to become what it always has been before we forgot and before we placed limitations and restrictions upon ourselves, as the exact moment of realization was not shown to me in the vision. But if we begin to comprehend the words that preceded this point, then we will know for certain that all things are happening in this moment as you are reading this sentence, and that the illusion of time is really just an illusion, and that we are in fact already there, as the past, present, and future are already all occurring simultaneously. Do you feel like this is all becoming clearer to you now? We are finally beginning to scientifically understand and acknowledge what consciousness is, at least publicly as of late. However, this knowledge is something we have always known within, every single one of us, without exception. The concept of time, the constraints of time, the lack of time is slipping away now. And soon we will accept that time does not exist. It never has. This present now moment is where life is occurring. This moment at this very second is where inspiration is born. This moment right here, right now, is where you have all power available to you to create anything you choose to create. If you don't fully feel the impact of that truth yet, it's okay. You will. We entered the now era in July 2019, and all humans on this planet are currently adjusting to it on all levels, whether you consciously know it or not, and whether you consciously understand it or not. However, when you do consciously and fully understand this truth, that's when life will get very interesting. And by the way, just a little thought to ponder. If time doesn't really exist, then neither does age. Okay, so that was the conclusion of the chapter 7, Time. And let's do a live commentary now. So, since the year 2019, when the book was written, that first vision that came out, the vision that came out and the first video that I made called The Vision, science has actually started expanding about the concepts of time. Things have really started to open up to the scientific community in regards to time. I actually even saw something like about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, that stated that time doesn't exist. It was a scientific show. It was a scientific show that I watched, and they were talking about how time does not exist. So this has really begun to unravel since 2019. And I don't know, it would be, who knows? Consciousness is expanding, so let's just leave it there. The thing is that we are already stepping into this. We are already fully becoming aware that time does not exist. So it's just a matter of the consciousness raising higher and higher in individuals and collectively until we are in full capacity of what the human mind can do in the now moment. So this was really exciting for me because seeing the vision and then seeing what science is beginning to realize, and how people are really beginning to use their mind in a healthy, positive way and be able to co-create with the universe is just very exciting to me. So anyway, that's it of the chapter Time. So I'm sending you all lots of love, lots of light, and lots of activation energy.